to ensure the best audio quality for all participants. Second, we will have a dedicated Q&A section after the presentation. You are welcome to raise your hand and ask questions directly or submit your question through the chat box. Our team will help collect and facilitate the discussion. Finally, please stay with us until the end of the workshop. After the Q&A section, we have a short interactive activity, a feedback survey, and a lucky draw with exciting prizes for participants. The presentation materials and recording of today's session will be shared with the participants who stay until the end of the event. And now, without further ado, let's begin today's workshop. We are entering an era where the way of software is built is changing fundamentally, and the organizations that recognize this shift early are the ones that will lead. Today, ELCA invites you to take a look behind the curtain, how our company is navigating the transition from traditional development to agentic AI engineering, where AI agents don't just assist developers, but actively collaborate as specialists in the software delivery process. In this session, you will hear about real-world experience from a live legacy modernization project at a Swiss railway company, the LKI method, ELCA structure approach to integrating agentic AI into software engineering, honest lesson learned, what worked, what didn't, and what surprised the team along the way, and a live demo showing agentic engineering is in action. Whether you're curious about where AI in software development is heading, or actively thinking about how your own organization can adopt it, this task will give you concrete insight and a clear picture of what agentic engineering actually means in practice. Please welcome our speaker from ELCA Group, Dr. Nissim Box, Head of Agentic Engineering and Agentic Coding Evangelist. He has come all the way from Switzerland and is now here with us in Ho Chi Minh City, eager to have a prospective workshop with us tonight. Dr. Nissim, the virtual stage is yours.
Thank you very much. So thank you very much for the introduction, and I'm very glad to be here and able to present to you a little bit our approach on becoming the best enterprise agentic software manufacturer. As you all know, agentic is something that is going to disrupt the way we work here. So the time where handwritten software is done is over. We will not write software by hand in the future, but have agents build the software for us. And I think what we see at ELCA is that this is not just a headliner, but this is really how we make our new projects go, work, and be efficient. It's something that really transforms also the way we work at ELCA. When you look at the agents in the market today, you see they are already extremely intelligent, and you can do a lot of things with them. And it's not only that you have to work with the models where you have to pay. You can also use open weight models that you run in your on-prem systems and have them work there, so that you are not so much dependent on the suppliers for these LLMs. My name is Nissim Box. Just shortly a little bit to me, I studied at the University of Bern, have an MD PhD in computer science and medicine on biological neural networks. I did an MD PhD on direction selectivity a long time ago. I'm also founder of a Bad Bern conference that we run now since 21 years, 3 times a year. We will shortly see it afterwards in the demo. And I started my career at RTC. It's a banking IT outsourcing company. where I did a 10-year project on migrating a big banking solution from COBOL to Java at the time. Then I went to PostFinance. PostFinance is the fifth biggest bank in Switzerland. I was there in the IT executive board and CTO and chief architect. I created Innovation Lab, an apprenticeship competence center for young professionals. And 8 years ago, I joined ELCA as delivery manager, and I'm now head of agentic engineering at ELCA. And you see, my hobby is flying airplanes over the Grand Canyon in the US. What will we have covered today? So I'll quickly give an introduction on what do I understand on agentic engineering. What is agentic really different to other approaches? I will show a real world case that we did, one of the projects that we ran, how this was going, how this looks like, and also do a demo at that time. Then I will show a little bit more how do we do agentic engineering? What does that mean? What is the ELCA method? What is the impact on the software development process and the tool chain that we use for it? Then I would like to give you some lessons learned, tips and tricks. It's always important on this way that you approach it in a good way and don't lose track, because otherwise you get frustrated. On the next step, quickly show on what we plan to do in the next time and how it will continue. Then round up and go over the Q&A. So let's start. So when I talk about agentic engineering, then I talk about using AI not as part of a software solution, but using AI as support the software development lifecycle. So supporting development of software, that is the core business of ELCA. That's what we do at ELCA. We develop software, we develop solutions. We just saw it before in the movie. That's what I'm talking about here in this session. ELCA is almost 60 years on the market. In this 60 years, that's almost since the beginning of IT that we have in this here. And it's started with structured programming. We learned how to use these tools even always better. Object-oriented programming, design patterns from Eric Gamma came here around, then doing domain-driven designs, event storming models, using DevOps, microservices, you name it. We always learn because IT is a very young profession. It's only, I would say, 70 years old, so it's really something new. We learn every day, but now this transformation of LLM really brings us a step forward. But one thing we should not forget, even when we have AI do the work on software engineering, all these principles that we learned over the last 20 years, they are not gone. They are part of being good software solutions. This is important to not forget. Engineering, the lessons learned of engineering of the last 50 years are core to build solutions also with agents. Where do we stand in AI development? If we say, okay, how much can you use it, from no AI assistance to some assistance like we did a few years ago with AI suggests, you do some prompts and so on, to augmented AI assistance where you have help you write some tests and do some documents or documentations and so on, to, I would say, like this automated level 4 where you have the agent really do the work autonomously. You just give him a goal and he does all the work that is needed to do this goal, and you as a human are more the editor, the supervisor of the agent. ELCA on this way was part into, already 4 years ago, starting with the first POCs in this domain. Then we applied and settled use of AI policy at ELCA to have a clear governance and clear constraints on how can you use AI in our projects. And since this year, we created this agentic engineering unit, which I am allowed to be head of, where we now roll out and really use this agentic approach on using AI. And the important thing here is that there is a big gap between level 3 and level 4. When you just use prompting to help you develop things, you gain efficiency, 15%, 20%, or so on. But if you really use it in an authentic way of work, then you get suddenly to factors where your factors faster than before. The AI share increases massively. You give much more work to the agent, and this helps you boost your efficiency. So taking it from level 3, where the AI share is low and productivity is low, you just install an LLM and use it, to level 4 automated, where you really have the agent do long-running tasks and create full stories and entire epics by himself, supervised by the human, by the team, the IT team. This is where you have a high share of AI, and where the productivity suddenly you get at 3 times, 4 times productivity boost. Something that I myself wouldn't believe if someone told this to me 1 year ago. This is really something which was an eye opener for me when I saw this and first did my first experiments. But you need some elements to be able to do this, to switch from prompting to really using agents, some methods, some governance. You need also experience on how to work with these agents. Let me give you an example of how we approach this. It's a typical setup. You have a client, we run a system for him, the system gets older and older, and sometimes the client should modernize it, but he doesn't want to modernize it. It's simply too expensive to modernize a system. So either you throw it away and build it new, or you just keep maintaining it till you really can't maintain it anymore. So this was a setup we had on this railway solution, and it was really old, Java 8, C, JSF, so really old approach. And as I had this experience, we said, let's try to convince the client to use it and modernize it with an agentic approach. So this was the setup that we wanted to do this. How did we do? We took as level 1, we took the LLM, Claude in this case, to write the code, to write everything, to plan anything, to do the specification and run the tests. In the middle layer, we used the BMAT method. This is how we used the agents in this project. The BMAT method, I will come to it later. It introduces agents with different roles. It introduces a structured approach, spec-driven approach on implementing agentic projects. It introduces workflows so that you are always clear, where am I in the work that I'm doing, and the agents don't lose themselves in their work. And then you have the human expert that supervises the different agents. He checks what is being done. He is the one in the lead. He is a human in the middle that monitors and gives the goals to the agents below. How did this work? Well, the first thing you do with an agent, you give him the task and the goal, and you say, yes, look, we have this old application. We want to modernize it. please help me modernize it. And so we started with the architect agent. In this case, he's called Winston. So he analyzed the whole code base. He looked at what does it look like. And he found out in this code base, okay, there are different entities, there are dossiers, there are whale blocking elements, there is some other systems, they are connected, all these entities. So he was able to extract the structure and the functionality of this whole system. He was also able to understand the business logic that is going on in this solution. So he understood, okay, there is a workflow when you create a new railroad blocking request. There is a workflow on doing the request, accepting the request, implementing the blocking, and then closing the whole request. He was able to extract that, and these diagrams are done by Winston. It's not human written. Everything is done by the agent here. This was the task. The human does not write one line of code. The human does not document anything. Everything is done by the agents, from documentation in Confluence to execution in Jira and the code. After he has understood the whole system, he came up with a plan to modernize. He said, well, we have here this old system. It's a legacy system with a JSF front end, the Seam Java backend. Let's apply the strangler thick pattern like the tree does, and strangle the old system by replacing it with an API gateway that still goes to the old backend, and implementing new front ends on top of the API gateway. This way, we can still always use the old system. We have the same database in the background, and we are sure that we are replacing the system, and always have a fallback approach if something, some elements have more problems. After he had this plan, he split the plan into stories, epics, and stories. Said, let's first phase, implement the front-end stories, then continue and start implementing the backend, so that we can replace at the end the whole system. It worked well in the first two epics. But what you do in this BMAT approach, after every epic, you do a retro. So the agents, they talk to each other. It's a strange concept, but it really helps. So the developer agent talks with the architect agent and the test agent, and they look at all the commits and all the discussions they had in the last epic, try to find what went well, what went not so well, how could they optimize the work for the next epic, and then come to action and action plan, how to optimize. Sometimes it's optimizing documentation or approaches, but sometimes it's also optimizing the agent themselves. Such agents are just spec files that they incorporate, so they can also optimize themselves. They are aware that they are a spec file, and they can optimize themselves by updating their spec file. And this was very, it's very good approach. And here he found out, I don't know at which epic, he found out that his own approach of first replacing the front end, introducing this API layer, and then replacing the backend was not efficient. After a few epics, he found that he had to make so much work in updating, in attaching the old backend through the new API, that he decided, well, I think it's better if we go end to end, slice by slice. So let's do the front end, the API, and the backend in per sprint, per element. And this way we will be more efficient, and I have not to rewrite so much. So he himself adopted his approach on doing this goal of replacing and modernizing this system. We also taught the agent to work with our tools at ELCA. We work with Jira, Confluence, Bitbucket. So the tasks, he writes the tasks as Jira tasks, creates acceptance criteria, describes what needs to be done. Then he implements it, analyzes it, implements it. Then the human has to review the pull request. At the end, the human is in the loop. He is responsible for whether the work from the agent is okay, yes or not. And if it's okay, he can then install it, and the PR is merged. And the Jira ticket is updated with the information that was done. What was the result of this? Well, it worked. We managed to implement everything. We could build this system. He had a high test coverage. And at the end, this whole system was able to, we could build the whole system in 3 months, much faster than we thought, with much less effort than we needed, than we had anticipated, at a much lower price than we had anticipated. It was incredible how to move from a 2-year project to a 3 months small project and still deliver the same quality and the same result. Speaking of quality, I'm sure you ask yourself, when we work with agents, is the quality good? Do they know how to implement it? Well, in this system, the agents, they build many end-to-end playwright tests that really tested every user journey that could be there. They created and designed architecture standards that they also upheld. We told him what are our coding guidelines, how do we develop, what is good software practice at ELCA, and he followed them strictly. We do code reviews by humans to ensure that this quality is also enforced in the pull request. And we also check the quality in our CI/CD pipeline. Our agents know our CI/CD pipeline. They develop against it. So we are sure that this quality is upheld also in this solution. One add-on, AIs, when they have these rules, they stick to these rules. They don't generate Monday morning or Friday afternoon code. But this is because we tell him what we understand as quality. What is quality for us? It's what we tell the agents, that these are the quality standards we want him to include and to obey to. And this is an important element, that you are the ones defining what is quality and how and which kind of quality standards the agents should adhere to. So now let's maybe go to a small demo to see how this works live. Before showing the demo, small introduction. So in BMAT, you have several agents. You have, for example, an agent, Mary, that is responsible for business analysis, for the analysis phase. With her, you can do a brainstorming if you have new features that you want to implement, do a product brief or so on. So there are things you can do with Mary. There is Winston, the architect, which when you have designed, when you know what you want to do and what the system should do, when you have the functional requirements, then you can start to design the system, elaborate what are the non-functional requirements, and create a design for implementing this in the technology that you want him to use. There is, for example, UX designer. We see that Sally, the UX designer, is extremely consultant, and she can create UX designs very fast with HTML prototypes and branding, extracting the branding guidelines from existing web pages or specifications of the client, and then generating a UX style guide to implement this exactly as the client wants. And of course, also a developer like Amelia that does the implementation. She does code review, she does retros, and she also checks that she always complies to the rules that we define. BMAT is the difference between just using AI and using agentic AI is that you use agents and BMATs with workflows and clear intermediate artifacts, a spec-driven approach where we have agents, they know which artifacts they have to produce. These artifacts have a clear structure, a template behind. We have templates at ELCA, and we teach them to use our templates. For example, Mary to create a product brief, Sally to create a UX spec, the architect to create an architecture document, and to take into account the other documents when they want to create another document, for example, to take into account architecture when they want to develop something. Let me take an example of what we want to do. As I said, I have also created a small conference that exists since some time, since more than 20 years. This is the website of this conference. So you see, okay, there is 6th of November. There is a new conference on digital sovereignty. There is some text about it. You can look at past events. What did we have for events? I am logged in, so I can also see, okay, was I speaker any time? Oh, yes. I was speaker in the first Blackburn event long time ago. I was also speaker in the Blackburn event in March. There is also an administrative site, that's why we built it, where you can admin such events. You can go to these events, you can look at an event, you can define speakers, agendas, you have Kanban boards, you assign slots of speakers to these speakers to slots of the event. We see the registrations, we can create communication with preview of the mail that we will send to the newsletter, and so on. And so there is a lot of functionality here. And one of the functionality is, for example, that we have partners that sponsor us. There are 6 partners currently, 9 partners that sponsor us. And we have meetings with our partners twice a year. This is how it looks like. We send them an invite, we send them an agenda, and then we have a meeting where we discuss what could be possible topics for other events. And as you might have guessed by now, this whole event management system was built by agents. This was no line of code was built by me. Everything built by agents, a running system on AWS, 500,000 lines of code, doing mails, receiving mails, managing newsletter events, and chats, and creating documents with AI in the solution itself. So the task I want to give the agent, in this case, Amelie, is this partner meeting that we have. They are very dull. We have just an agenda, and I think we want to make this agenda more live. So to have an agenda where greeting all the ones that are present, so we know who was present. Then we have analytics of past events. I want to have them automatically in the agenda when we show this, so we don't have to create a PowerPoint to find this analytics of the system. There are things where we have to show PowerPoints with the costs of last year and so on. And also we discuss topics for the next year. So we want to collect, we already have a system to collect the current topics. So I asked him, look, read the current system. I want to brainstorm with you on additional features for this partner meeting. Help me brainstorm how to create such an active agenda that is supported by the event management system. Now let me go into such a chat. I have started Claude Code. I hope it's big enough for everyone to read. I have started Claude Code, and now first thing I do, I start the analyst agent. So I want to start Barry. So you start a skill. In this case, the analyst agent Mary. There are some context that is loaded. It's always, that's why you use agents, because they know how to run and load context so that they know what to do. In my system at home, Mary talks to me, but here I have not enabled the talking. And you see how Mary uses tokens. Okay, Mary has loaded. Mary here, a pleasure missing. I'm your strategic business analyst and a requirements expert. I live for hunt and chasing new clues and watching things. She has a menu, so you can brainstorm with her. You can do market research. You can create a brief with her. Several things you can do with Mary. As I said, I want to brainstorm with her on a project. So let me grab this part of text. And enter it to Mary. So exactly the prompt that I said before, help me brainstorm. Just pure normal language. And you see at the beginning, I tell her to read some documents of this project she is in. Mary is always very, very nice. She's always very excited. She's a business analyst. So wonderful. An active system-supported partner meeting agenda. Now that's true treasure worth hunting. Let me first study the terrain. So she reads the documents. But Mary, she has in brainstorming mode, she has like very interview techniques. She's a business analyst, so she needs to find out from me, what do I want? What should we do? How should this feature look like? She needs to understand this feature from end to end so that she knows what to do. And you know how difficult it is, if you are a BA, how difficult it is to get the details out of your client that does it every day, and you don't know the business, so you have to find it out. So here she says the Terra is clear and it's rich. You've already got a partner meeting that's currently a passive artifact, just a text agenda and then calendar entry, nothing else. So she found out what we have today. In this workflow of PMAT, there are documents, there's a workflow behind. And now she found out there are things that I can already skip because I know some things. Ah, good. So this is, yes, this is a demo approach because she reads. This is exactly the BMAT approach, because in BMAT I already tried this out and I forgot to delete the old document. So she already knows what I wanted to do. So now I will yes, what I want to do. No, I want to show you from the beginning. I will show you here. Yeah. So she should not already know what we want to do, or the constraints that I gave her in the last session. That was a problem before. See the menu again. I paste the text. And however, find out what you want. With the docs to facilitate the brainstorming session. That's the topic with agents. Huh? They also have to think. And this agent here lives in the US. Huh? So this goes to the US and comes back. It's a Claude LLM is running in the US. And I'm using here the Opus 4.8 model, which has 1 million contexts. For me, this is not enough. Many of you know there is also Fable out, but Fable, to be true, is too expensive for me at the moment. Well, until the 19th it's okay, but afterwards it's probably going to be too expensive. I managed to do all my work already with Opus 4.8. So now we have a better approach. Huh? She read it, she read both docs, she found out what I'm hearing. Okay, we have a text agenda, don't have a lot. What does it mean to acknowledge things? This could be greeting. Now it's greeting partners, could be a live presentation of roosters. We have analytics costs, read only. we could now do a live presentation of the data. We could capture the approval, and we can collect the votes. So she comes with ideas on these 6 elements. And she asked me, how do you want to continue? Here, should we continue with go deeper on some of these elements? Should we do a reality check? Or what do you want me to do on these cross concerns? And I will tell her I want you to some brainstorming techniques to go deeper features. Propose this camper method as a technique. And now she will propose more techniques on what to do. Will not continue much longer, just maybe let you see the techniques she uses. Sure. That's good. He starts to store the status. Where is she? What did we do? Because so we can always stop like we did before. Huh? We can stop in this session and we can restart later, and the agent still knows exactly where did we stop. So now she says, now let's pick some tools to go deeper into these features. What do you want to apply? Role playing, scamper method, first principles, what if provocation. So I just select 2 of them, say submit the answers, and then she will apply these methods to find out more from me. We can look, one of the first one was role playing. We can see, does she understand which roles are in this feature that are relevant? And this is also one of the things that I saw, and that the agents, they have big knowledge of the domain. They know the domain. If you ask them on event management, they have the knowledge of event management. If you ask them on something else, they have big knowledge on every topic, finance or whatever, health, insurances. The LLM is trained on everything, so she can make really good questions for it. So here you have this role-playing technique. I'm going to inhabit 5 people who are touching this meeting. Bea, the skeptic 10-year partner, treasurer, auditor, the book must be defensible. A third one, the first-time partner that appears in this meeting, the organizer that runs the meeting, and an associate governance, legal conscience. Okay, we don't need that one. Huh? And when you look at it, you can see, for example, the organizer, a present mode control surface that could be there, live sign-off thinker of how many partners are we. So she already starts to have ideas on how could we implement this active agenda so that it is easier for the organizer. or she makes ideas for other roles, like the skeptic during the meeting, flip the story into a personal ROI panel. Your first firms send 12 people across 12 events. So he wants to have analytical data benchmarks that he can use. So you read through them, you tell him what you want to do, how should he continue, what is your view on these roles, and you correct him and say, I only need 4, or I only want to look at 3 of these personas. And here, for example, he says, okay, should we continue to another role of what if provocation and so on. And all the time, she saves the information into a document where she says, what have I been doing? What were we discussing? What were the results? So that you can always look at it. And the same works for other agents, like the architect or Sally, in the same approach, where, for example, documentations on data architecture or on design patterns to use. So the agent is able to, depending on his role, to really fulfill his task here. Good. I think let me continue in my presentation. And see how did we as ELCA now adapt this BMAT method so that we can use it to build professional software, enterprise software with it. A friend calls it the John Bull 7-mile shoes. It's a story for kids where one guy has magical shoes where he can run 7 miles with 1 step. And with agents, it's similar. You have agents, and then they can do a lot of work with just 1 prompt. And you have agents that help you in the BA, in the UX, in architecture and test, and you are in the loop to really ensure that he goes in the right direction. Because if you don't watch out, then with his 7-mile shoes, the agent might go suddenly in a few prompts off in the totally wrong direction. So you always have to watch out that he keeps track and goes in the right direction. You supervise him. You are the one who designs what should be done by the agents and know and understand what he's doing. You don't have to do it yourself, but you have to supervise what he's doing. An agentic loop, as you saw it before, you prompt something, then the agent gathers context, executes it, creates results, you view the results, you can give him inputs, you can interrupt him, say, yes, I want you to go there. No, I don't want you to do this, please do that. And then that's how you interact him. And also it's what happens here is that the agent, he has a plan, so he knows what he wants to do. And you just have to steer that it goes in the right direction. He has a goal that he wants to achieve, so you don't have to give him every task, one task after the other. You give him a big goal and he makes himself a plan. What do I need to do to achieve this goal? BMAT was not enough for us all. BMAT gives us a spec-driven approach. It uses an agile approach. It works with user stories like we do. We have agents for the different roles in the team. It supports several LLMs. And we enhance this BMAT method by extensions, where we give the different agents information on how do we do specification, how do we do architecture documentation, what is our way of having a test concept, do a domain-driven design when you do this. We use tools like Jira and Confluence. These are all things that we enhance the BMAT method with, so that the BMAT method is the ELCA method that does our way of work, that incorporates our quality standards and our way of implementing software in our company. The BMAT method had these different phases, like phase 1 for the analyst, architect, UX agents, and PM agents. So we have like the analyst agent knows how to work with Confluence. The PM agent knows how to work with Jira to create the tasks or use X-ray for a test plan. The UX agent, we also use Figma in our company, so to create the Figma prototypes or rapid prototyping with HTML. And then you switch to the implementation phase with Scrum Master, developer agents, test agents. But always we have the human in the middle that does a review of all our departments. So as you see, the roles stay the same. They are just accompanied by an agent that augments this role. The process that we have, we try to keep it the same, like we have it, the ELCA way of work, how we work. We just have our agents know this, how we do this. We use our tools, and the tools don't change. We teach our agents how to use our tools, how our CI/CD environment is to be used, how our quality gates work. They are unchanged. But everything goes at massively more higher speed. The human is more in the role of an auditor, an editor, reviewing and taking the decisions on what she should do. Also, the tool chain, it's important to have these MCP tools, MCP connections to our tools. The CI/CD pipeline to deploy things is important, and we use Cloud Code as our primary agent. So I think everybody knows, since GitHub Copilot, since the beginning of June, it's getting very expensive to use GitHub Copilot, so we switched to using Cloud Code. But for the software development lifecycle, this makes it easy to adapt, because we can use the tools that we are used to, and also the tool chain stays the same. Now coming to the lessons learned in this approach. So one of the things that an agent has, he has a limited context, and he forgets. As soon as you end the session, he forgets everything. And if you start a new session, if you don't use BMAT, as we saw before, he has no knowledge of what happened before. But you have to explain everything again. And if you have a big knowledge base, then it's going to be difficult to keep the context that he needs, so that he does meaningful work in a limited fashion. And BMAT here helps here. He has structured workflows. He has steps where he persists everything, so he knows where he was. He does the status tracking. We just saw it before. I switched from one session to the other. Started a new session with business analyst Mary to do the brainstorming, and she remembered that just 2 hours before I already started doing this brainstorming and had still the status to continue on exactly that place. It hit me exactly that she has this status tracking. So this is something where if you don't use BMAT, you will always start sessions by giving him information, continuously giving him information so that he knows what to do. And this is not what you want. You want him to be in the lead, to know himself which documents he needs to read so that he can fulfill his goal. One thing I thought is, well, he does write code fast. He writes good code, and so everything is okay. But this was wrong. He writes code very fast, but he also writes code wrong code very fast. So you have to ensure that the code that he generates is also the right code. That if he specifies a 100-page document for you, that the code does what you want, that the specification is correct. You have to verify on every level, and that's why testing and automated testing is really something important. You need to implement a harness so that the agent is able to test himself whether he is doing the right thing, yes or no. Because without tests, he will simply start to implement features that you don't even requested, that just do nothing useful for your task, for your goal. I think so. We apply this like 4-layer testing. It's a V model. I'm sure there are still people knowing this. This is a very old model that is still used, and I think it's now more important than before that you really apply these lessons learned from working and testing, where you have unit testing, you have component testing, you have API testing, you have front-end testing, you have end-to-end testing, end-to-end playwright test, and you keep really a high test coverage on all these levels so that the agent can run these tests himself and find out when something breaks, whether this is an intentional break and he should adapt the test, or whether this is a side effect of his business change where he should be more careful on the change and ask, okay, how should we handle it? It breaks at several other places if we do implement this change. He has a very good knowledge, but he can do this only if he has these tests at hand and can test them himself. It's important that you automate these tests, because only then he can run them and find out himself what is wrong. One thing that I also saw is it's important to use generators where you can. So generating backend spec, front-end spec from an open API specification is a good approach. You can also generate the open API spec from the backend and then use it to generate the front-end components and types. This is also possible, but use them, because then you already have some problems of integration between backend and front-end solved. Planning approach is also something that don't start and plan out and design all the user stories from the beginning. The agent wants you to do that. He says, oh, that's how BMAT works. That's how I can do it. I already know everything you want to do. So let me implement all the design all the user stories at the beginning. But you will see yourself that when you start, this is normal agile approach. After the first sprint, you say, oh, I don't want it like this. I want it the other way around. I want this changed and so on. So if you just already designed everything up front, you will constantly be updating all documentation that is not necessary. Start small, do the first sprint, document design the first sprint, implement the first sprint, then go and continue to the next domain, iterate, and that's how you should continue and implement the whole system. Not like a waterfall where we design everything at the beginning and then you just implement it. This is not reality, and with agents, it's exactly the same. Three things to finish up at the end. So resume. In Claude, you can resume sessions that you stopped. You can rename them so you find them again. So if you stop some session at one point and you want to continue exactly where you left off, or an MCP tool did not work and you have to stop the session to make the MCP tool work, then you can resume to run it again. Even when you use BMAP, why not use Claude plans? Use plans. Let him plan some things. When you want to have some small feature implemented, you can tell him to plan it, create a plan, store it in your documentation repo, and then implement it with a quick dev or so. Why not? It helps. These plans are also an easy way to implement small features. And something I like is party mode. As soon as it's not clear what is the best solution, what should we do, how should we approach it, why not go into party mode, bring in several agents, have them discuss the pros and cons, and then you can decide on which approach you want to use, and they make you a recommendation to implement. What are our next steps at ELCA, what we want to do? So we have already a lot of experience in many projects, and we continuously learn with every project that we do. We learn new things. We adapt our methodology. We have projects where we did modernizations, as the example that I showed, where we have 4 times, 5 times less effort than before. We have greenfield project where we can do in 6 weeks things that before we needed 1 year to implement it. Also the UX way to work with creating UX designs and HTML prototype, it's so much less effort and it gives so much more value to the client when they see these prototypes directly the next day and not have to wait weeks till they get a feeling on how this could look like. So these are all benefits we see because we implement this agentic approach in many of our projects now. We will continue to tailor this ELCA method for our different projects, for different project types. You can also need different ELCA method types adapted to project size. There is a new way of FinOps. Suddenly, at the moment, use tokens do not cost. They are not relevant token usage, but this might soon become relevant. So we are exploring sovereign LLMs with our everywhere data company. We try to understand better how is our token usage when implementing some projects and optimize it. And also suddenly token usage might get relevant for pricing. So we want to understand better how do we want to price in agentic into our fixed price and co-creation projects. An important part is adoption. So adoption not only for our clients, but also for our staff to understand how to work with agents, especially in Switzerland. We have this data residency laws where it's not so easy to use agents, especially when they are not on-prem or in Switzerland. And we want to enhance this adoption by providing services which allow this also in the sovereign environment. Maybe key takeaways at the end. Give LLM goals, not tasks. It's important. You have to give him a goal. Then he will create the task needed to reach this goal himself. If you start to give him tasks, you will be trapped in having to give him the next task and the next task and the next task instead of giving him a goal and having him do the work. Apply domain-driven design. This helps you make a big project into smaller parts with domains which then you can attack with the agents so that you don't explode the context. Always apply automated test-driven design so that the agent himself can correct and ensure he's on track and doing the right thing. And always generate when you can, because why not use generators when it's applicable? I think that's it from my side. I hope it was interesting. Sorry for the hiccup on the demo, and otherwise I hand over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Nissim, for a very informative section. And thank you all for your attention. Now, our speaker and our team is more than happy to answer any question you may have. We will go through as many as time allows. And if you have any question, feel free to raise your hand and turn on your microphone if you would like to interact directly with our speaker or say your question via the chat box or Q&A panel. Our organizing team will help moderate and bring them to the speaker. Okay, let's start our Q&A section now. I think we do see some question in the chat box.
First question we have is Nissim for the X-Task, we use different model. We just use the same model for every task.
I use always the same model. I
Same.
don't adapt to the model, but it's really because we also don't have to take care about token usage. We are in the great position that we can use that we have a license model where we are not restricted on tokens, or at least it's very difficult to get restricted. So I use always Opus as model, but that's how I use it. I think you can very well use Sonnet when you do the implementation task. Sonnet is a very good model to work, so you don't always have to work with Opus.
The next question, one member to ask you, you saw the workload in the lab for the agentic AI. If the lab is stuck and on way the lab and with the same bug, and how can we debug it? And because it's already automate everything, so that's all.
So if the agent is stuck in a loop to fix a bug, so I think the way I understand it is that you would have him work in a sub agent or so. I tend to work with agents where I see what he's doing and I can correct him or stop him and direct him and say, please do this or go there, work in another direction, so that I supervise him and help him when he's stuck. There were also places where it's really good to just stop the session, start a new session, and then ask the same question again. And then he suddenly has a totally other approach on trying to fix this bug. I think this is also a way to find.
Okay, then next question related with what type of skill and level of the person who do the assessment.
I don't understand the question. Sorry. Who do the assessment? What kind of skills and levels for persons who do assessment tasks? In assessment tasks, you mean agentic tasks?
Yeah. Can you mute your unmute your mic and discuss directly with the Nissim one? It's not clear for your question. Ah,
Okay, yes. So, in our view, you need seniors in the role of the agent to assess and review the tasks of the agent. So if you have a business analyst, Mary, doing work for you, you need a business analyst senior supervising the task, the work of the agent. You cannot have a Jew because the agents, they are themselves seniors. The agents are seniors, they are trained on doing these tasks. They are very good trained in all elements when you have him do development tasks. These are senior developers as agents that work. When you do business analysis task, it's a senior business analyst that knows the business domain that does this task. When you have Sally doing UX designs, this is a senior UX designer that designs these front ends. So you need a senior to challenge him, because for a junior, this will always look right. It will always look, oh yes, this is very good business analysis. That's okay. Continue. It's only a senior who can challenge him and say, yes, but you forgot to look at this edge case. You did not understand this edge case, and there is one aspect you didn't look at. What about this this subject matter expert that is also relevant? Only seniors can challenge them. A junior will just be overwhelmed and say, yes, looks good, continue. You know, that's something that we see. So it's really a problem with juniors, and we only address seniors working with. Yes, that's a good question. That's a very good question. The question is, what are we going to do with new joiners, with juniors who join the company, and they are juniors and they have to work with agents, as the new world will be agentic. So this is a question we are currently also thinking on. How will we handle this? How do we join them? There are approaches. For example, we do in our projects we use the buddy principle. We have the junior join the senior, and then the junior at the beginning gets more easier tasks to do with the agent, but he reviews them together with the senior. So he learns from the senior how to challenge and supervise the agent. And then he gets the more senior he gets, the more difficult task he gets, and the less the senior has to help him review the tasks of the seniors. That's one of the possible approaches that we are currently working with. Others are also that you can have the agent himself go into teaching mode and give the junior tasks on not implementing everything, but helping him understand why he implements this way and what he implements and so on. There are such modes.
Okay, we received the question before we start the event. Is what the change should company make for their software development process in I area?
So I think the client doesn't care whether we use Agentic, yes or no. He wants a solution, and he wanted yesterday a solution. He will want tomorrow a solution. So whether we build it with Agentic, yes or no, he needs good quality. He wants to ensure it does the work that he needs, that the system has fulfills the requirements, and for them, how we build it is normally doesn't really interest him, except if it's a client which himself has an IT company and he wants us to build together with him. Then of course it has an impact, and then we have to help him on board and help him to work with agents and so on. But otherwise, when we tell them we work with agents, the only thing they say, okay, how much cheaper is it for me now? You know, that's and that's the thing we have to think on, you know, because you get much more value for the money, and this is our thing where we have to adapt on how do you price the work that is being done with agents.
So that means the way for we offer will be different, and the price will be cheaper than before, right? Because we
already
and more challenging about the offer for customer, because many company apply the AI for software development, so
Yes.
it's cheaper than before.
Yes. So this is an effect, of course, because when you apply agentic, you can implement, as I showed, you can implement uh, the same problem much more efficient in a shorter time with less effort. So it gets, of course, cheaper. And that's also where we are on the market. We have to offer at competitive prices. We have to reduce our prices to also the effort that we had to implement it. On the other hand, we are still ELCA, so we have our way of work. When we build with high quality, with high standards on how to with all our know-how that we earned over the last 60 years, how we build this. And this is also what we put into these agents. This is not for free. This is really engineering work on how to build this ELCA method with our knowledge baked into these agents. And this is something that also differentiates us from others that just do vibe coding or just implement standard methods without such a good way of work, engineered way of work like ELCA does.
Thank you. Another question from Tung Le is for enterprise environment. How do we manage the security when we access the model outside from cloud code like Opus or some another model in cloud?
Yes, for this we have guardrails in place. I also said, for example, we can only use MCPs that are going through an empty MCP gateway, which checks access and security of the license of the person that does it. We only have personalized licenses and accesses here. So whenever an agent implements or does something or changes something, it's always clear what is the person behind that did this, that requested this from the agent to do. So there's always auditable who did what, and we enforce security by this MCP gateway where we enforce the security, and it's always clear what is done.
So that means we need to implement the MCP gateway to protect our so-called our control layer, our environment when we connect to the cloud corporate.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that is the reason. We don't have more question. Maybe we, if you have more, you can put in the chat. Maybe we need to go to a next session with the question.
Yes, sure. Thank you everyone, and thank you our organizations team for a great question and answer. Before we conclude today's session, let's have a quick interactive game to review some of the key points we discussed. And the question, of course, will be related to today's topics about agentic engineering. And to participate, please scan the QR code on the screen or visit mentimeter.com and enter the code display. And the top 3 participants with the high score will receive special gifts from ELCA Vietnam. Again, to participate, please scan the QR code on the screen or visit mentimeter.com and enter the code number display, which is 44105733. We still have a few rooms to log in. Please log in quickly and we can start the game.
Good. Want to start? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Is everyone ready? Let's begin.
So I prepared some questions. So we start with the first question in one word. What comes to your mind when you hear agentic engineering? AI, control, speed, smart. It's not vibe coding. It's spec driven and it's fast. Yes. Nice responses. Let's continue.
Yep.
Continue with the next question. Where are you today in AI assisted? Say, Wim, bigger picture here, huh? Still many in level 2, level 3. We have to get to level 4. It's inevitable. This will come. If you're not on level 4, you have to train yourself and try to get there. You will not get away. I'll continue to the next one. So please write these statements. AI already writes production-ready code. Testing matters more with agents, not less. Juniors will struggle more than seniors in this shift. Yeah, very interesting to see this. Huh? So, if I would interpret this, so the first answer it's very in the center, huh? So people are still not so sure whether adopting, whether AI is writing good code or not, right?
Yeah.
Big skepticism here, and I think this is also the thing that refrains people to adopt it faster because they are not sure. Yeah, does it really write good code? But I think I hope I showed you that to use agents and to tell them what you understand as quality, what is good code for you, that this helps the agents to really write good code. And you be more efficient if you use the context well and give him enough context and a clear goal what to do. Then he will also write good code. Let's continue. So, assume you have 100 points and you have to spend them on getting and adopting Agentic. Where would you spend your money? One of it's important to train the people so that they understand how to use this new technology. It's not just another tool, it's another mindset. They get into another role of how to do the work different than before. And it's important to train the people and take them on the way to this. But speaking of ELCA, ELCA is a Swiss company. For us, governance and compliance is very, very important. We are building systems that are very sensitive on data protection and how we go around with the data of these systems. So ELCA, governance and compliance, is a big part of what we do and how we take care of the data and the systems that we build for our clients. Next question. What's the one task you'd hand to an agent tomorrow, now that you have this info from today's session? I think you captured the capacity of agents very well. He is good at writing and doing tedious tasks like end-to-end automation coding and so on. But he's also very good at investigating current code, finding bugs, understanding things. What I think you could also mention is that a project at the end, a software development project, the implementation, the coding part is only 1/3, 30% of a whole project. And we at ELCA, we think that the agents can be used all over the SDLC process. Also start at the start of the project already with business analyst support, writing specs, understanding specific the client better, use the agent to write good specifications and requirements that are matching the client's expectations. So I think this is an enabler for us that we use it in all steps of the software development lifecycle and not only in the coding part. So, next part, the quiz. This is going to be who answers the fastest. What did you say? The 3 fastest will get the prize.
Yes.
So, be ready.
Good luck
for
to
the quiz.
fastest.
I'll wait a little bit more. Okay, let's start. Tell me, the RHB modernization was how much faster than the traditional offshore approach? We have some winners.
Yes.
4 times faster it was, exactly. Let's look at the leaderboard. Now you have to help me.
For sure, for sure. Top 3 of today. Please take a screenshot on your screen. So later on, it's easier for you guys to contact us to receive the gift. And yeah, thank you everyone for joining the game and congratulations to top 3 participants. We hope you enjoyed this quick challenge and had this chance to revisit some of key insights from today's workshop. And for our 3 from the mini game, please provide your contact information and your screenshot to our organizing team by the email recruitment@elca.com or any of ELCA Vietnam fan page, LinkedIn, Facebook, before July 31st, 2026. So we can arrange to deliver of your gift. And before we officially close the event, we would appreciate a few minutes of your time to complete a short feedback survey. And your feedback is extremely valuable and helps us to improve future workshops and create more meaningful experiences for our community. And please scan the QR code on the screen or click the survey link shared in the chat to complete the survey. And as a thank you for your support, participants who complete the survey will receive the presentation materials and recording of today's session after the event. And yes, we will give everyone a few moments to complete the survey. Thank you. Okay, thank you everyone for your valuable feedback. And with that, today workshop ELCA roadmap to becoming the best agentic enterprise software manufacturer comes to an end. And we hope this session have provided you with valuable insight into how AI is transforming um, and at ELCA, we are always looking for passionate technology professionals who are eager to learn, innovate, and shape the future of software development. And if you're interested in exploring career opportunities with ELCA Vietnam, please feel free to contact us at recruitment@elca.vn. Our team will be more than happy to support and answer any question regarding your opportunities. And on behalf of ELCA Vietnam, I would like to sincerely thank our speaker for sharing his expertise and thank all participants for joining us, sharing your question, and making today's workshop a meaningful discussion. And thank you once again for being part of today's event. We wish you a wonderful evening and we look forward to welcoming you at our upcoming ELCA events.
Thank you and see you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.